Mm-hmm.
the higher the price range goes.
Yeah.
It's like, some businesses are not about money,
Mm-hmm.
but the way that we build websites is we build them.
Yeah. When you are, how many people are?
So far, seven.
Seven. Okay. Just type in there. Ask them. This is a question. This is question and question answer and discussion group. Is my mic on?
Yes.
Okay. So these are old templates on this website, right? The website I got.
The whole thing is about putting it together, structuring it so that
Hmm.
it's a business
Yeah.
and it's automated. So that it's just working in the background
Hmm.
according to your goals, according to how you want to get the information out there. And that way, the statistics are different because
Hmm.
then you can determine exactly how many people are interested in specific subjects that you teach.
Yeah.
Exactly. It becomes a whole different game once you decide what material you want to get out there. Attach a price tag, a value. I don't want to say a price tag, but a value to it. What type of people you want to reach. Just do it. You don't mind if I
Go ahead. Go ahead. No. Go ahead.
stay.
Uh, the seven, the 7 dimensions of the 7 dimensions. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Most people don't get that though. That was a hard subject. No, the seven dimensions. The 7 dimensions, and then the other one was the 4 aspects of creation. Most people don't get that. They don't understand it.
Yeah, I remember doing some research on the Nazis about 2011, and at that time I was like, wow, this is so intricate. Like,
Hmm.
the whole energy system is intricate. The chakras.
Well, the Chinese system is based on the Hindu system. It's based on the nadis.
Based on the Nazis. Yep. It is. I found that at that time the material that was out there on it wasn't really as in depth as what how you described everything.
Does nobody have no questions today, huh?
I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
I want to know the relationship with I don't even know how to ask this question, really. Complicated question. We know the polarities to be good and evil. Well, that's
Mm-hmm.
what we don't know them to be good and evil, but that's what we label them as.
Mm-hmm.
And positive and negative, when we see a reflection of that in our world today,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So I know that a lot of religions and spiritual teachings talk about the one, God, whatever you want to
Mm-hmm.
being all good.
Mm-hmm.
But how is that even possible if the duality exists? I know the duality only exists in the material realm. However, the negative couldn't exist within an all positive. And so I wanted to know, like, what is your spin on that? How did evil come about? Or what we consider evil, how did that come into play?
Well, first of all, the polarity is in all the realms, even the so-called spirit realms, or what they call what is the etheric realms, the astral realms, all the realms, and then all the realms are physical. Okay, so so it's just that you have subtle material versus gross material, and you always have a positive and negative. Now, positive and negative does not mean good and evil. It doesn't. It just means that it's an energy, and it's a quality of energy. You may have a negative quality of energy and a positive quality of energy, and you may have a neutral type energy. Usually, the neutral energy is only the positive and negative working together.
Right.
So so it's not evil. Evil in a sense is relative in a sense, because we can look at this world today and we can look across the world and we can say uh, that in one part of the world uh, they may have plural marriages of women or plural marriages of men, right? In South America, I think there was a group of people who had a woman had multiple husbands, and then when you go to the Middle East or Africa, they had multiple wives. Now, but then you come here in the Western world, and it's a taboo in the Northern American world. Although they do it anyway, they just have several, mistress or the woman may have several men. So, they do it in secret. But overall, it's a taboo. But when you go and look at those different cultures closely, you have to question yourself: is it bad? Because the history of that country led them to do that, probably in order to save lives. You understand? Because when you look at statistics, you may have more male babies born, but more male babies die, and more female babies survive. So then, when that culture adopted plural marriages of women in their culture or men, they was doing it for a reason. So if the intent was good, is the action evil? Now it may morph into something that you may not like, or you may feel went too far, or extracted from individual rights. You can talk on those points, but the overall action probably saved lives and had a group of people survive. And maybe the kids were able to eat. So I mean, we get on our high horse too much. It's just like, and then we were taught in college where the sociologists and the anthropologists, where they go to these so-called third world countries, and they say, oh, you're not dressing right, you got to cover up, you got to stop living in huts, you got to live in a structured building and this and that. And then all of a sudden, when they go and build a new city, everybody, the mortality of the people began to increase. Because why? For some reason in the past, they took on certain actions to do what? To extend their life. You know. So so those are, so that's where you have to say, well, what is good, what is evil, or is there really good and evil, or is there just uh, comic lessons that we have to learn? You know, and sometimes the comic lessons of one person could be considered pure evil, and the comic lesson of another person could be considered, ultra good. So it's and position. Like we know that Hitler was evil.
Exactly.
You know,
Right.
you know, we know that certain historical people were very evil. Stalin, very evil. I mean, we know this. I mean, but based on it, on what they was doing, then we know that people like Mahatma Gandhi, Mother Teresa, uh, uh, we know that they were good people. They were ultra good. So, but the whole thing about it, uh, we have to be able to see that, and then we can't relate every activity of everyone that they may be accused of doing the same thing they did or similar to them as totally evil. You know, and it's hard for us to do that because of our level of intelligence and intellect. You know, so if we take their actions of doing what they was doing, um, and then compare it to everyone else in the world, I mean, everybody else or every other leader, then we have to say all leaders are what? Evil. All world, like presidents, kings, and really they may have did more good than evil in their life. So
What I'm more interested in is, okay, so we do label these things. We label actions, we label intent,
hmm
and that's relative on the scale, like,
well,
okay,
intent is very important because the intent of something colors the actions, the upcoming actions. If you have intentions of just doing very selfish, uh, you're not taking into account anyone else's uh, thoughts or feelings or whatever, then you leaning towards evil intent.
right,
So then the then you can say, well, your actions are evil actions, or your actions are borderline evil, or whatever, because you didn't consider everyone around you. And your actions are not intelligent movement. It's selfish movement. You know, because an intelligent people will consider everyone around them, because if you just move out and don't consider everyone around you, something's going to bounce back on you and knock you off your feet. So that's where intelligent thinking, because intelligence, like I told you before, is uh, is predetermining your actions. When you do intelligent things, or when you are an enlightened person, you predetermine all your actions to make sure that what you do don't adversely affect other people. You know, because everyone is connected, whether you realize it or not. So,
So then, if everyone is connected, and those actions, all of our actions have an effect on everyone else, then that means that we have to be able to monitor, shall I say, our intentions
yeah.
towards others, in every interactions.
Yeah, you should. That's what an enlightened being does. An enlightened being, they just don't move out and do things because it's going to benefit them. They do it to help benefit everyone around them, or everyone in their view, or everyone in their understanding. They just don't go and just say, "Well, I need $1 million." I don't care if 1,000 people die in order for me to get the $1 million. As long as I have the $1 million, they don't do that. You know, so that's if someone did do that, that's evil. You know, so but and yet on the other hand, they people may look at them as a decent person, but they didn't realize what they just did. Because
Serial killers, neighbors say, oh, he was the nicest guy.
yeah, yeah, or like businessmen, you know, they go and dump a toxic waste somewhere, in order to keep down the cost so that they can build their building or do whatever they want to do. I know one developer went and they got an environmental report, paid someone to keep it all quiet about the toxicity inside the ground, because the ground had been used to plant to force grow potatoes and other things for many, many years. And after about 30, 40 years, they had to demuck the whole site. They paid somebody to keep it quiet. And then they went ahead and built the development, but you had multiple, multiple, multiple cases of cancer, years going forward. You know, they built the whole subdivision. They built the whole subdivision, and things like that happen. That's an evil person, who would pay someone to overlook stuff like that. So those are the type of things that we won't normally see. We won't normally see that, but the person have evil intent. But everybody else is praising them for being the greatest person around. Put their names on streets, street signs and everything. So that's not good. That's not good.
But then also too, there's the fact that we label them. We look at things like someone who did something like that.
Mhm.
To us, that would be considered evil because we're basically good people,
Mhm.
right? And our thought processes would say that's just wrong to do that, to put so
Mhm.
many people's lives in jeopardy, right? But those people that are like him, the ones that praise him,
Mhm.
probably admire those type of qualities.
Mhm.
To them, he's a go-getter.
Mhm.
So in other words, we've been taught to admire the wrong qualities in people, and which is why we say things like, "Oh, Donald Trump is brilliant," or
Mhm.
things like that. When we can see the people that know his deeds, we can
Mhm.
see he's obviously, not a good guy.
Mhm. Mhm. So intention is one of the key factors in determining so-called good or evil. But then everything is a lesson too. And then you have to look. Those people who are affected by something, somehow they made themselves vulnerable for that. They're not necessarily responsible for it, but somehow they made themselves vulnerable for it. In other words, they needed that comic lesson in order to move forward in the direction that they're moving. You know, so that's another balancing factor that you have to look at before we judge. You know, the whole. everything too, because it's just like the people who's in a autocratic country or communist country or whatever, then their karma was such to allow them to be born there and live through that. So that's the lesson they need to learn. So, and might be one of the lessons they need to learn is how to overcome that. How to step up out of that, how to move forward without being oppressed like that. So it's still a karmic lesson, even though it's occurring. You know, so that's a major factor too. Any other questions over there?
Someone online asks, where can I find out more about the purpose of every human race and their design reasons, and more information on the history of each human race?
I don't know. I mean, the thing that comes close to that is in the mystic world. I guess that's what they're talking about. Um, you can get that from a theosophical library, Madame Blavatsky. It was Helen P. Blavatsky. She wrote a couple books called. She wrote a lot of books, but she wrote volumes. A volume called The Secret Doctrines, and which she did a commentary on the stanzas of Sadan, and also her book on Isis Unveiled. And it's a hard read. You need a encyclopedia to read it. But if you go on our website, you'll see that we provide dictionaries and encyclopedias in order to understand her writings. Any other questions or discussion anyone want to have?
I have actually a question about that question. We've been taught that there are other
Tina?
races.
Thank you.
Yeah, my question is about the question that was just posed about the finding out more information on other human races. But technically, there are only a couple of races on this planet. If you really want to go into that, because at one point this land was all one landmass.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody on this planet came from there, with a couple of exceptions of people that are on our planet but are not really from our planet. So technically there's only really one race on this planet, and that's the human race. And there's the Asians and what we call separation by geography was done just in recent years. Actually, thousands of years ago, we weren't divided like that. We had tribes and things like that, but we weren't considered different races, so to speak. There's only one race of humans. On this
Well,
planet.
what in the mystic text, what they do, they talk about, and she mentions that in her when she do her commentary on it. She mentioned that it was just one big landmass, and that mankind. And she also mentioned that mankind evolves too. She mentioned that we had to take on different bodies. The original bodies that mankind had were stronger bodies, and and uh, and they had to take on weaker bodies as the as we evolved in a sense, and mainly because of our karma, our negative karma, mainly because of things that we did. Um, she goes to she goes and she stick mostly to the mystic side of it. She goes back. She actually goes back 3 million. I think 3 billion years when from when the Earth moves away from the sun and forms for this lifetime, and this Earth is probably in its third life, right? I think, and away from the sun, and then she talks about the different root races, and she talks about the Meldic man and how the Meldic man, not the Meldic man, the Adamic man, and she talks about how more advanced they were than us, and the humans that we look at today, they did not come here according to the mystics until 18,600,000 some thousand years ago, before Christ, right? And then that's when Lemurius was here, and at that point there was one landmass. First race, the Lemurian people lived on South America and Africa. They lived in that part of the world. Of course, now today, scientists and geologists and what they found evidence of this. They found massive pyramids in those regions. They found roads. They found one road that still exists. That was an ancient road that extends I think 20,000 linear feet. 25,000. No, I think it was 25,000. Uh, uh, 25,000 miles. The way they followed. They went through mountains, went underground, and it's still there. So so and you think about it, that's the circumference of the Earth. But the thing about it is that we don't even look at that. We haven't even began to really study that, and because they don't want to study it, simply because it goes against their history. But it's a good read, and it's a good study, that particular book. And she talks about how the race have evolved since that 18 million years, and how the city of Shambhala played a role in it, and how, because it was Senate Kamara who actually took up residence in the city of Shambhala, since the city of Shambhala was actually built for the Senate Kamara in order to deal with this race of being who were actually criminals and who actually destroyed Lemurius, destroyed Atlantis, and and uh, and and she shows how the whole thing evolved, how the Earth spent on its axis, how the continents were broken up, and how all these different so-called religions came about, and how the cosmic beings had to come in each time and do a correction in order to pull us. Also, how the original pyramids that was put up all over the world was actually universities, and it was a link to the city of Shambhala in order to help educate and teach us, where the great masters at that time, they mingled with us and guided us, and we turned away from everything they gave us, and brought about a mess of this world. And it also, because of that, we began to have the seasons that we have. We didn't have all this harsh weather all around the world, but comically, as the ionosphere belt was tightened around the world, and what she called a ring pass knot in her book, it changed the weather around the world. And then it pushed us from certain areas of the world, became very sacred, and in order to stabilize karma, certain parts of the world mass populations cannot be. They're not allowed to be there because because of our own negative karma. Now, when we clean up our aura, then the whole world will be given, and you'll have one weather all the way around the world. You won't have all this harsh weather and whatever. So comically, the earth is the way it is comically because of our negative uh, 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 disposition of this world. We polluted the world with our auras. Our aura is a devic laboratory. It creates positive energy and negative energy. But right now we're creating more negative energy, and we're polluted the mind bed of this world, that we had to be pushed away from the North Pole, from the South Pole, from different places in the world. You don't see mass populations because of the evil. And even when you go into countries like China, China might be a big country, but only a small population of people is concentrated in one area, and then you have this vast open area. Why? Because karma is not allowing them to move, and and when they do move out there, you'll see more natural catastrophes begin to happen. You'll see more incidents happen because why? Because it's the pressure of karma. As man try to explore areas before his time, that's what's going to happen. You're going to see more natural catastrophes. And you can look here in the United States and see how we had the mudslides, the fires, the flooding, because certain areas we're not allowed to live in. And that's because of our own negative karma. Until we clean our own auras up and begin to elevate our thoughts in a certain area, we're going to be restricted. We're going to be restricted where we live and the technology that we gain. And in her book, she kind of shows you that, and she talks about the whole book is really, it talks about the human race, but it also talks about the earth and the higher ones, and how they play on balancing the karma of man. But it's a very hard read. It'll take you 20, 30 years to read it, So unfortunately. Unfortunately. Any other questions?
When a mother affects a child because of the mother's thinking, is that also karma for the child?
Um, I don't know what they're trying to say. Can anybody understand that?
I think that what they're asking is, like, the thoughts that a mother has before the child is born, is the child absorbing that, and is that become part of the child's karma in the child's lifetime? I believe that that's what they're asking.
Ask them, is that it? Can you ask them, is that it? Or can they hear it? Oh, you got the microphone.
Yeah, but I can barely hear you because you have it so far.
Oh, you better? Oh, ask them if that's what they're talking about.
Can you, Adam, can you further expand on your question? What exactly do you mean by mother's thinking?
Is it in the womb or as life lessons as they move on?
Another question, does predetermining one's actions get rid of negative karma? Is that process called dharma?
Um, yes, it is. It is. It's a part of dharma, yeah. And if you predetermine your actions, then you have control over your thought and actions, and you blending the two instead of just working from instinct. Animals work from instinct. Humans shouldn't work from instinct. Although some people say we should, but we shouldn't. And if we are working from an instinct, we should be working from a highly ultra positive instinct, not our animalistic instincts. Not, in other words, not our cravings, not our the selfish intent, you know. So intelligence, and you can look at it. If you look at a computer, all the computer parts is predetermined. You know, when you touch a computer, you know what's going to come up. You know, if you know that code or you know whatever, you know that everything is predetermined. If you type a certain thing, when it's not, you know that computer is not working right. So what do? You go get it fixed. When you place a key in the car, you know that when you turn that ignition, it's gonna send a signal to the solenoid. The solenoid is gonna send a signal to the starter. The starter is gonna reach out and turn the flywheel. The flywheel is gonna move the crankshaft, and then and the engine's gonna start. You know it. You know it because why? Everything's been predetermined. So intelligence is predetermining your actions. We shouldn't just move out like a leaf in the wind and just go where it takes us. You'll never get to your destination that way. So you begin to mold and shape your karma when you predetermine your actions. So he said it's life lessons. So the life lessons of a mother or a father giving the child, if that child accept those lessons, uh, yes, it will affect the child karmically. If the child don't accept the lessons, it will affect the child karmically. So either way, it affects the child. And for a father, mother, and child, they are connected karmically anyway. That's the only way they can use those portals in order to enter this physical world. This physical astral world. So they have to be linked. They have to be linked karmically anyway. They might be linked for maybe several lifetimes. Matter of fact, usually if you have a mother and a father, and you on a reincarnation cycle of this earth, you're probably gonna be with them for many lifetimes until you work out the karma between the three of you. So same thing with sister and brother. Any other questions?
I think you already answered.
What was it?
He was expanding on his original question.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Earlier last week, I was thinking about how the Earth body is or rather, the human body is a reflection of the Earth body. So I was thinking, if that's the case, does the Earth have chakras as well?
Yeah, the earth has chakras. Yeah. The earth has what we know that there's 49 chakras for the earth. Now we don't know how many branches of those chakras. We don't know that. We don't know how many branches, but we know that there's 49 chakras. Like in the physical, like in the human aura, we know that there's about 248 I mean 248 nadi pathways, and there's 108 chakras. But then there's also 720,000 branches within the 248. I mean 42,000 knotty pathways, you have branches, and the branches are like 700, I think 720 or 728,000 branches. So, and all of that extends from the the uh, the 108 chakras, right, within the body. And the 108 chakras are major chakras, minor chakras, and minute chakras. And then you have your major chakras that come up along the spine, from the Muladhara, which is the base chakra, all the way to the crown chakra. And then you have two major chakras in the hand, right? You do have chakras that's in the leg too, which might be considered major chakras as well. I think you have a total of I think you have seven in the leg, but they're parallel. In other words, the seven is paired along the leg, right? Instead of saying 14, there's actually seven. And but those chakras was used as because a chakra is a seat of consciousness. It's a seat of consciousness. So those chakras was used during the animal uh, evolution, and then once you reach the base chakra, then you begin to have a human evolution. You see, so 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 now a lot of times the lower three chakras reflect the animalistic uh, uh, cravings of the lower chakras, and we consider them impurities, and we have to flush them out because because we tend to allow ourselves to go back to that animal type instinct, and that's how you have hatred, lust, envy, all this, all this, all this thamus type mind energy that we allow to build up within us, you know. But we have to fight against that and allow the higher mind energy, the Savic type mind energy, to flow through us, and because we are in that self-conscious state now, we're not in an instinctive state conscious. Once we reach the human level. So, but the Earth itself, the Earth, we feed off the Earth's consciousness. In other words, the Kundalini that's lodged in the base of our spine actually came from this Mother Earth. Okay, and in fact, if we could pinpoint the original time that we were introduced to this Earth, we would see ourselves being introduced to this Earth through the logos of the Mother Earth, and that's when we were given our Kundalini, which is a vehicle of which is an energy used as a vehicle of consciousness in order to experience life the way we do on this earth. So that's what links us to this earth, is the Kundalini within the base of the spine. And the Kundalini is the soul. The soul received this Kundalini or this Shakti power from the Mother Earth, and then took the Shakti power and pushed it down within its auric field of substance, because the auric body is the body of the soul. And then it formulated or calibrated in order to create the bodies in which we live on this earth, in order to become a part of the collective consciousness of this earth. Because the only way we experience this physical plane, the astral plane, the etheric plane, the spiritual mental planes, is through the Mother Earth. So even when we develop ourselves to a great cosmic being, we tap into the cosmic consciousness of this earth. And of course, this earth is connected to the cosmic consciousness of the solar system, of the sun and the solar system. And the solar system is connected to the cosmic consciousness of the galaxy. And the galaxy is connected to the cosmic consciousness of the universe and the absolute. So everything is connected. But our consciousness comes from the Mother Earth, and then the Mother Earth give us experience everywhere else. Okay, so the cosmic consciousness we talk about is actually from the Mother Earth. And the consciousness that we experience is actually from, that's why if you examine the body, our body is made up of the material of this earth. You know, of course, the consciousness is too. Okay?
So you mentioned the mind belt being wrapped around the earth. How does that relate to the Kundalini and its
Well,
connection to
because
the
mind,
solar systems?
there again, mind is universal. Mind energy is not contained in anything, but it passes through everything. Okay, so in other words, at the outset of the creation of this universe, the mind was there. Mind was created. In other words, mind is an aspect of Shakti, and mind is shaped by Nata or Vak. In other words, sound, the supreme sound of the absolute. So when the absolute said, you know, let there be life, mind came out of that. Because you had Shakti mind, you had Shakti, you had the nanny of Shakti, which is the intelligence of Shakti. Then you had the mind of Shakti, and then you had the energy of Shakti, and then you had the love of Shakti, which is the preservational power, or what they call amana, which preserves everything going forward. And so mind was here, it's always here. So only thing we had to do is create a field, which is what you have. You have an auric field. You think you live in the body, but you actually live in the auric field. See, the body fits inside the aura. Remove the aura and the body is not animated anymore. It decays and go back to its original source, which was some part of the microscopic dust of this earth. See, but place the aura back over that microscopic dust, and it's animated. It's a robot. It's an android. It's living again. See, but the aura. So the aura takes the mind and begins to work the mind in order to do what? In order to it sends out these tiny little signals that makes everything animated and bring it together in order to express and experience things in life. So we live in our aura, then we live in the aura of the earth, right? And we live in the aura of the sun and the solar system. And that's what allows us to be animated. Now, no matter where we go, we're connected to them. You know, so that's and that's what the mind belt is. Of course, we affect the mind belt by polluting. Now, what we have polluted, we have polluted our Earth, and that's one reason why 50% of the sunlight or energy from the sun is reflected back to the sun, because if if we were to receive that energy, then we couldn't live here. So the earth had to sacrifice the reception of that energy in order to build a surrounding and allow us to gain necessary experience to actually come out of this mental state that we're in, you know. So and when you go back to the ancient teachings, you'll see there's many allegories talking about things like this. I think there was one where this sage talked about that was in the body of a pig. It was in the body of a pig, and it was moving around, and it actually got caught up being a pig, you know. So because why? Because he had entered the body of a pig or the aura of a pig, and it was, you know, and the sage forgot that it was a sage, you know. So we are, we are living gods, you know, because the spirit, the spirit, our spirit, is an aspect of God, you know. But now we're caught up in this mind belt, thinking that we're less than that, and that's the only reason why we're here, because we think that we are, you know, this puny human being. When really, if we realize who we are, we can move on, and sooner or later we'll be a planet, we'll be a sun, we'll be, part of a solar system or a galaxy. But we're caught here in this body, and we'll probably be here for millions and millions of lives. Unfortunately, going through this.
A question online.
Yeah.
If you do things to modify your body, for example, like a tattoo or piercing, is that something that could affect your karma?
Yeah, it could. Whether it affect it um, uh, negatively or positively, I don't know. It might be both. You have some ceremonial tattoos and piercing that has a very positive, thing to it. And then you have some that's just doing it in a mindless state. So it depends on the intent again. That's where intent comes in at, you know.
What crack?
No other questions?
Not yet. Wait. Okay. Um, what is the associate? Oh, I'm too loud. What is the association of the periodic chart of elements and the Kemet gods? How do we use Platonic sounds to evolve? Okay, that's two questions. All right, the first question is, what is the association of the periodic chart of elements and the Kemet gods?
I think I did. Didn't I do a lecture on that one time? Huh? Didn't I go over that with you all?
The corresponds between the elements and the
Yeah.
Egyptian gods, or just the demons?
No, well, I went over the association with mystically.
Mhm.
There's too much to go into. This if you look at the periodic chart, you'll see what? You'll see gases, right?
Mhm.
Liquid and solids. Well, go back to the Hindu and the Buddhists, because the Egyptians, they just, they got a lot of that stuff from those ancient texts that was left over from the Atlantean and Lemurian people. So when you go back, you'll see that in the Mahabhutas, you have what? You have
Elements.
first you have etheric space, which is akasa. and then you have Vaya, which is gases, and then you have TJs or Agni, which is light, heat, and fire. Uh, you know, and then you have Apas, which is liquids, and then you have Paritis, which is solids. So it's that simple. It's not, it's not really complex. The only thing that's left out of the periodical chart is the etheric sound, which is vibrations, and of course the Egyptians had that in their uh, uh, table, and also the Hindus had it in their table, the Buddhists had it in their table, the Sufis had it in theirs. I mean, you just go on. I mean, when you go and check the ancient religions, most of them had it, and even the Jews had it in the Kabbalah. So it's there. It's there. So it's the same, but it's the same thing. I think the Hindus and the Buddhists, I think they preserved theirs, and it's and you can really understand it, you know. And it wasn't theirs anyway. It was part of the Vedas, because the Vedas does not belong to the Hindus or the Buddhists. It was just ancient teachings. So, but it's there, and it's just that simple. Now, of course, the sciences today, they don't put the sound on the periodical chart, but they have in-depth study on sound. I mean, they have evolved sound to the point now that they can use it in warfare. So if they can use it in warfare, guess what? They've been studying it for a long time. I mean, warfare, to a sense, to knock somebody down. you know, they can knock a person down just with sound. So but that's, I mean, it's just that simple. It's nothing really elaborate about it.
How do we use platonic solids to evolve?
What do they mean by platonic solids? He never answered.
Reginald, what do you mean by platonic solids?
Any other questions?
What do you think about the flat? What do they call it? The flat Earth theory. This is a good one.
I don't think about it. It's foolish. That's foolish. I don't think about that. Why, y'all believe in that?
I don't believe in it at all. But
Okay.
I think it's just a distraction to get us thinking about things that are distracting us from what's really going on in the world. But I just wanted to know what you thought as a metaphysician, what you thought about that.
You
If
can
it
see
had
the
any
curvature of the
validity.
earth. You can see the curvature of the earth. If you went up up into the air, you see the curvature of the earth. If you astral project, you can see the curvature of the earth. So you know the earth is round. So it's not flat. He never answered.
He says sound vibration of platonic solids and the Merkaba.
What now?
Sound vibrations associated with Merkaba, or what are the lost sounds of the elements?
People get on this they try to make things so complicated. The Sanskrit language has 51 sounds to it. Those 51 sounds are associated with your major chakras along the spine and above the spine. Along the spine and above the spine. So there's four sounds in the Muladhara chakra, the base chakra, what some people call the root chakra. There's 6 sounds in the sex chakra. There's 10 sounds in the solar plexus chakra. And then there's 12 sounds in the heart chakra. There's 16 sounds in the throat chakra, and there's 2 sounds in the third eye, or the Ajna, or the Christ chakra. So those are the 51. Those are the 51 sounds. Now, all these sounds are considered to be seed mantras. And mantra is the yogic science of sound vibrations. Now, each one of these sounds, in order to evolve above the Muladhara chakra, you have to actually do a meditation on each sound, or each seed sound within the chakra. And within that sound is a megabyte of, is hundreds of megabytes of knowledge and understanding. And it gives you power. It gives you the ability to mold and shape anything on that realm of existence, because each chakra is a realm of existence. In fact, it's multiple realms of existence, and it makes you aware of your surroundings. Right now in this room, there might be 50 to 60 to maybe 118 realms of existence, but you are not aware of it, because you have not evolved enough to be aware of those realms of existence. So there's and then, so that you can kind of understand what I'm talking about, there might be an ant in this room, and it has an ant consciousness. That's a realm of existence, but we share that realm with that ant. Now, when we see the ant, we become aware of the ant. There's microscopic life forms here that's all over your skin, your clothes, your desk. You're not aware of that. But that realm of existence exists and exists here with you. You cannot live without it. See, so the thing about it, as you evolve your consciousness, you become aware of all these things. You know, you don't need a telescope. You know, you become consciously aware of everything that allows you to be here now in the present. See? And as your consciousness rise up from the base level to the sex level, you become aware of that. Understand that mantra molds and shape matter because mantra is a part of mind. Mind molds and shapes what?
Energy.
Energy. So sound is that trigger that moves mind. Correct sound, such as a mantra, moves sound. Okay? And now, of course, scientists have realized this a long time ago. Way back in the 1800s, they knew that if they push a certain sound vibration, they can tap into the electronic magnetic spectrum and send a sound 10,000 miles away. They understood that. But they did not know how to do it in a wireless fashion, the way nature does it. Because right now, I'm communicating with you in a wireless fashion. At least to you it is. But what's happening is that my aura and your aura have linked on the subtle realms. And that's how you understand me. See? So that's sound. Sound is very, very important. It's a vibration. But we describe it as sound because of our limited understanding. So, but in the mystic world, we call it parasound because it's outside of the realms of solid sound or gross sound or audible sound. See, because it's the sound that moves the mind, the energy of the soul, the directive of the spirit. And it's now each chakra has this sound, and the higher you go up, the more powerful the sound is. See, so that's the association with the sound. If you really want to try to understand it, there's a book called The Garden of Letters by by
Arthur Avalon.
Arthur Avalon. What's his real name? John Woodworth. And he was actually he was a Swami, but he was actually a lawyer and a judge. He became a judge over in India. And but he became a Swami, a yogi Swami, and he wrote several books. He also wrote the book The Serpent Power. And now you're not going to understand it the way I just explained it to you because you'll need a dictionary to deal with his stuff too. But if I did several lectures on it, so if you listen to my lectures, you'll go back and be able to understand his books. But that's sound. That's sound, and that's a part of sound that's not. It's hard because most of this is secret knowledge, and only now that we're allowed to go to the public and give it out, you know. But in the past, it was very, very secret. But and still, with the mantras, you're not allowed to give a mantra out unless that mantra lived within you. And how that mantra lived within you, you have to say the mantra thousands upon thousands upon thousands of times, and then you'll go into a particular visionary state, and you will unlock the mantra, and then the mantra will give you certain powers, and then you are allowed to give the mantra to someone else. Okay. Any other questions? Did I answer your question? Who's this? Reginald?
Original.
Also, when it comes to other solids, um, that just study Ayurvedic uh, healing or science, Ayurvedic science. And if you email me, I'll send you a book that I recommend on that. It has some of the best Ayurvedic stuff I've seen so far.
Is that the encyclopedia one?
Yeah, it's a encyclopedia. Yeah.
I have some questions.
Hmm.
Could you use the mystic prayer technique
Hmm.
to put energy into an object and then have that energy be triggered or released upon a certain time or under certain conditions?
Like what?
So, like, if you wanted to like put healing energy into a crystal or into a necklace or something, give it to somebody, and at a later time when they get sick, it just releases that energy.
Yeah, you can do that. You have to be very good at manipulating energy to do it. But you'll probably prayer prayer uh, works off the laws of mantra. So uh, there have to you might have to use a particular mudra and mantra along with prayer in order to put it within that and to have it cycled like that, and then you have to protect it too. So in other words, you have to put a strong mind belt around that particular thing in order to keep it there, because of course energy uh, is like a bullet, but it have to but you have to be able to mold the energy in order to respond to a certain mind energy. Okay. In other words, you find certain healers even in the Christian, the Orthodox Christian world. You find certain healers that that uh, that can put energy. They call it what is it called? They call it prayer 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 handkerchiefs or blankets or
Oh yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
And now I know a lot of them were kind of like fake.
yeah. They sell prayer water and things like
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
but some of them are good. Some of them are real. Some of them are real, and because I used to criticize them real bad, but I ran across several, and it was ladies that I ran across that was actually the energy was there, and I was totally blown away, because
Mm-hmm.
I watched them. I got a chance to see them do it, and I seen the energy enter the blanket, you know, and then when I looked at it psychically, I could see the energy of that person in there, So and then when it went to the next person, I could see the energy going to them. So one of these ladies, I when I got sick one time, I went back to her to see if she could heal me, because it was just a simple old lady. It was she was nothing spectacular about her, but she had this healing ability, and my ear was stopped up, and I went to her and she dipped her hand in her little oil and came to me and she prayed and she touched my ears and with the oil, and there it was gone. So she had the ability to heal. So don't pick and laugh at these people, because
Mm-hmm.
because some of them are healers, some of them are real, even though they don't know what they're doing or how they do it. They have tapped into a technique that works. Remember
Mm-hmm.
the whole procedure, intelligent thinking. In other words, she found a technique, an automatic technique that worked for her, And then she continued to use it over and over and over and over. And each time I watch her, she did it the same way. So she found a method that works. So it that can happen, yes. Now the thing about what I disagree with, a lot of people they'll go and say, well, crystal automatically have a power inert in it. It probably do. But for you to unlock that power takes a lot, and you need, in my experience, you need mantra in order to unlock it, So, or you need some type of science like mantra in order to unlock it. It's just not naturally abundant to us. But it's a good way to move energy, though. It is a good way to introduce energy and release energy through crystals. I do believe that.
So could you place like a protective mantra into a crystal and carry that crystal with you, or give it to somebody, and whenever someone's negative intent is directed towards that person, the mantra just releases, protects that person?
What you mean, negative intent?
Like if someone wishes, if I were to put like the protective practice we were taught, encode that into a crystal and say, give it to Noelle. And as she's going about her business, somebody comes up and wants to do harm to her, and would that crystal automatically, or that mantra, be able to be triggered under that condition?
If you know how to do the violet flame, that violet flame can do that too. You understand what I'm saying? So if you were good at putting the violet flame around someone, that can work the same way. Now, the crystal, it possibly could work that way. And I heard of cases similar to that, but it was adepts and masters who did it. But Dr. George King gave us a simple method using the practice of the presence, the violet flame, to pull around the person. It works. You just got to do it every day until you get so good at it that it stays the time length that you want it to stay.
Another question about the chakras, senses, the way that they say the chakras, information, energy goes in and out of the chakras, and it's those realms in which we interact with everything around us. So, for example, when we touch something with our hand, and I feel cold or warm, as opposed to touching that same object and feeling the person who sat here previously and everything about that person, it's the same information that's going through, but the difference is in how clean or pure the nadis are to receive and translate the information?
Yeah, you picking up all the information. When you touch something, you just picked up the information of that object since it was born or created. So everyone that ever came in this room, that you just picked up that information. That touched that desk or walked by that desk or that desk was influenced by or affected by it, you picked up that information. Now, can you decipher that information? That's the question. But the information is there.
It's always there, and it's picked up by
Always
everyone.
there.
Whatever, it's their level of consciousness that's able to perceive that information.
Now, your higher self picked it up. You probably even your subconscious mind stored the information. But now you have to have the ability to tap into that information. See, so it's just like a simple hypnosis person. They're able to take a child back to the day that it was born. Some of them who are very good at it, and they had cases where when the child came out, they asked the child how many ceiling panels do you see, and the child gave the exact count of the ceiling panels, what color it was, what color the walls were, was the room air conditioned or not air conditioned. And this person, the person who was under hypnosis, they didn't have that information available to give them, but their subconscious mind had stored it away. So it's there, but you just totally unaware of it. So that's So that proves that you do pick up all the information, you're just totally unaware of it. you know.
Going for an hour, 20 minutes.
Okay, if there's no other questions, we can close out. It's been an hour and 20 minutes, really?
Well, I've been broadcasting. I'd say maybe a good solid hour of class. Can you decipher dreams, and should you take dreams in a serious manner?
Um, I'm not a dream catcher, though. But, normally dreams are just past thoughts. Uh, Normally dreams are just past thoughts, something that accumulated in your subconscious mind. The things you have to look out for is what I call visions. And a vision is sometimes you can have a vision. It seems like a dream state, but it's not a dream state. And it's a state where you go to sleep, you begin to experience this, but you can touch, feel, taste, feel the heat on the head, the you know, it's real. So that those are the things you need to decipher, not the dream itself. I don't think dreams are just past thoughts. But when you have a vision is real. You can feel yourself breathing. If you walk out into the sun, you can feel the sunlight hit you, and you can you feel if you do meditative type practices where you project your consciousness out to the seashore and you walk down the beach. When you get really good at that, you'll feel the sand under your feet. You'll feel the sunlight. You'll hear the ocean or the pond. And of course, when you do this, make sure that the ocean is not in chaos, because you can bring negative things to you if you visualize it in chaos. Visualize it always calm. But when you really get good at doing that, you'll notice that you can feel the sand under you. That's a vision. That's a vision. So a lot of times when we go to sleep at night, we have visions and we may dismiss it as a dream. But dreams are just like a combination of past thoughts. But a vision is real. And usually if you analyze a vision, then there's information that your higher self is trying to tell you to look out for, or trying to guide you down a particular pathway to protect you and the people around you. So look out for the visions, not the dreams. You know. So if that's all the questions, I guess we'll close out. Close out with a prayer.
New Lord's Prayer. O divine and wondrous Spirit, O everlasting Lord of hosts, send forth now through me thy great and lasting power. Allow me, Almighty God, the lasting privilege of radiating to all the world thy great love, so that those who suffer may be given the power and energy to rise above their weaknesses. Almighty God, in great humility do I ask you to send forth your power, to give to me this great lasting privilege of being a channel, so that my suffering brothers may be helped and guided and healed and lifted into thy light, so that they who know not may look up, and in doing so receive for their higher selves your divine counsel. Almighty God, this day have you granted me a divine privilege. I ask you now to give to me the strength, so that never again will I turn from my inner vision of you. O great peace, great peace, great peace. In praise of your greatness, O God, doth my soul sing. Grant it energy to sing on forever and forever. Thank you for watching. See you next week.